Recording in progress.
Hi everyone, welcome to the first Lumina Sound Circle gathering. My name is Anna. It's so nice to have some of you here that I've known for a long time or I've been working with in the capacity of yoga, meditation, or sound for some time, and to all of the new people that I've connected with over social media or through the studios or working in person here on Mallorca in Spain. This is something I've been dreaming about for a long time, is having truly the proper equipment that hopefully we'll be fine-tuning over the next couple of months to really bring the magic and complexity of these instruments and how profound of an impact they can have when we work with sound healing to your home, on the go. Hopefully today I want to talk about maybe kind of an overview or a scope of all the different topics that I think would be great to dive into in this space over the next couple of months and beyond. From the science of sound healing, how it interacts with our bodies, how it interacts with our nervous system, to really getting to know the individual instruments, what makes them so unique, so powerful, the gong, the alchemy crystal bowls, the chimes. And we'll try and work with maybe one or two, maybe three instruments per sound bath, just to avoid some of the feedback noise that can happen with picking up and putting instruments down that doesn't necessarily have as big of an impact when you're in an in-person sound healing. So really, I hope that this space can be live and dynamic, and to hear from you all, either if you're watching this on replay or at our next live in-person gathering, of what's true for you right now. What are you interested in learning about? What type of meditation do you need? Are we feeling dysregulated? Are we not sleeping well? Or maybe we're interested in the yogic science of sound, of some of the more spiritual aspects of this practice. And we'll kind of dive into it all, and you can take what resonates and leave the rest. I'm really particularly passionate about those areas of kind of the wellness industry, where science can now explain in very technical language and very detailed way what mystics and yogis and those seekers, those rishis, have been saying for a really long time. And I think sound is a perfect example of that, where we can explain through physics, through biology, through understanding our endocrine system, through understanding the brain, of how it interacts with our body and create such positive effects for our health, but also where it can take our mind and how it can influence our consciousness. So what I'd like to talk about today is a little bit about what you might experience during a sound bath and how that relates to these particular instruments that we have here in front of us. So there's no right or wrong way to experience a sound bath. Ideally, hopefully you have a blanket with you, a cushion, a safe and quiet space to lay down, hopefully your phone on airplane or in another room, and then something to cover your eyes, and ideally headphones. So any headphones will work, but if you have those big noise canceling headphones, now would be the time to use them. It can really make a big difference in creating an immersive experience and hopefully going into those altered states of consciousness that we'll be exploring together. I find that when we first start working with sound, it's going to act maybe on a very biological level. It can put us straight to sleep, which is great. It probably means you really needed the sleep. It can help us feel more relaxed, but it can also have effects kind of on the other end of the spectrum. It can stir up emotions. It can actually make our thoughts race. It can keep us from sleeping. And that's kind of one of two things that happen after. Either you leave this sound bath experience and you go have the best night of sleep of your life, or you'll be active and wide awake. And both are completely normal. You might experience changes in temperature, which is normal as well. You might experience thoughts coming up, emotions coming up, and really just to try and be present with it all. This is the really interesting thing, I think, working with the faculty of hearing and how it impacts our system on all levels, that when we hear something that we don't like or we don't want to, when we see something we don't like, we can just close our eyes and we can basically get rid of it as far as our brain, our consciousness is concerned. But hearing is not like that. Our ears are open. If you're listening to something with headphones, you can take them off, but more or less we're receiving sound if we're awake. And this is really fascinating to think about and how it organizes in our brain, and we can kind of get into the science of all that at a later date. But at its very core, the sound healing works through what we call entrainment, or the law of resonance. And that's really when our brain waves come in contact with the frequency or the waves of the instruments, for example, it will entrain, they'll synchronize. And so that's why sound healing can be so effective at slowing down the mind, at taking us into more relaxed states. So we have basically 4 brainwave states that we're talking about today. Is we have beta waves, which are when we're active, we're thinking, we're busy in our lives, even if we're stressed. And then we can slow down a little bit into alpha waves, which is when maybe we're more relaxed or even being creative. That's an alpha wave state. And then we can move into theta and delta, which are going to be that liminal space between wakefulness and sleep, maybe deep meditation, and then of course the delta, the deep sleep. And this is something that I am offering as an invitation for us to explore in this Lumina Sound Circle and this Lumina gathering, this light gathering, is that of course we can just attend a sound bath and we can receive the benefits and add it as a really beautiful thing to our wellness practices. But we can also maybe approach it with curiosity, with a yogic scientist perspective, is that their whole schools in yoga and spirituality of studying consciousness the same way that we do as doctors and study medicine, is breaking it down really systematically. You might be familiar with the Om symbol if you practice yoga, and that's exactly what this symbol is denoting. It's denoting our different states of consciousness, from wakefulness to dream state to deep sleep to the silence beyond all of that. And that's what I find so fascinating about sound, is that we have awake and we have asleep, and there's this whole spectrum in between. And when we work with sound over and over and repeat it, and it can actually help us inhabit that space with different types of awareness. And that's one of the reasons I chose the name Lumina. I love the word luminosity when talking about consciousness in relation to sound, is that it has this very luminous quality, because we can't think, okay, I want to be in alpha wave state, okay, I want to be in theta wave states right now, and I want to be in that space between wakefulness and sleep. What we have to do is surrender and to let it happen and let us be taken by the sound. And so that's an offering to maybe not today, maybe at the next session, is to start exploring those levels of altered states of consciousness with different levels of our awareness, and seeing where the sound takes you. So today we'll be working with 2 different types of instruments, and later on in future months to come, we'll be working with the frosted quartz crystal bowls that I don't have here, different types of chimes, rainmakers, drums, wave drums, and the gong. But for today, I'd really like to talk about the alchemy crystal bowls. So these are crystal bowls that each of them, as you see, they have a different color overlaid with different types of minerals from the earth. And this changes the complexity or the menu of tones that we get from the various bowls. And so they interact in really special ways. And you might notice that the same bowl can make what appear to us as completely different sounds, depending on how it's played, how we strike it, which mallet we use. And within the context of the crystal bowls and that part of the sound bath, is we can think of the sound in a couple different categories. And we have harmonic, we have resonant sounds. So an example of this could be a resonant chord. Those are the types of sounds or the chords that we hear, and our brain just goes, loves it. It's so sweet, it just fits, it's perfect for our ears. And those are the type of tones that are going to allow us to just take a deep breath out, relax, they'll immediately entrain us. And then we have dissonant tones, and these are something that we intentionally can add into a sound bath to add texture, to add a dynamic quality to it that can take us from maybe those drone, really sweet sound baths that are can put us to sleep pretty easily, or at least they do for me, to one that can really take us on a journey. And you can think of dissonant tones are those notes that maybe don't quite fit together the way that our brain wants them to. You can imagine these waves coming together in the air and interacting in more of a chaotic fashion. We hear this as rippling, or maybe a note that helps invite feelings of tension. And these can be a really interesting thing to add into a sound bath because they are going to push our mind into places it's never been. It's going to create a different type of landscape for our mind to inhabit for the sound. So just know that that's completely normal, as you might feel relaxed one moment and then, oh, okay, well, the sound's taking me somewhere else. Oh, I don't really like that. It makes me think of this thing or this thing. I'm imagining mud or lava, or now I'm moving into the sea. It's just, we let it all happen, and it can be really interesting to see what type of imagery can be brought up with different instruments. Now moving to this beautiful instrument behind me, which is the gong. The gong is a very powerful instrument. It is very complex, and the way it is struck has a very complex array of overtones of the waves really hitting each other, bouncing off the instrument in different ways. And so what this creates is a sound that's quite unpredictable to our brain. And this unpredictability, where we can't kind of predict what note or what sound's coming next, can have different effects for different people at different times. Some people find it very relaxing, like, oh, just take me away to the cosmos. Other people can find that it makes them uneasy, or it takes us on kind of like almost a psychedelic-like journey. But that can depend on your state of consciousness that you enter into this sound listening meditation with. So I invite you to explore how that happens. It's a very rich and complex drone tone that's very deep and that really will wash over the body. You can think of it as far as the different types of notes and how they work. I like to think if the gong is the universe or a galaxy, the alchemy crystal bowls are one single pure star that work with different kinds of waves and different impacts on the body. The gong is something that we work with a lot in Kundalini yoga and meditation because it's very powerful for bypassing the analytical mind and can help clear our subconscious mind. And what I mean by that is it can help really just shake up the mental landscape, where we can throw out the garbage, as I like to say, is where we can get rid of those mental ghosts or haunting repetitive thoughts, repetitive belief systems that no longer align with who we are and who we want to be. So that is a lot of talking. When you listen to the sound bath, make sure that you have your phone on mute. We won't be going too long today. We have about another 25 minutes or so to get a taste of the instruments, but sometimes we can go into those deeper states really quickly, and when we hear a ding from our phone or a vibrate from our phone, or something very loud, it can shake us quite a bit. But outside of that, there's only so much we can control about our environment. So if you have things happening around you, you can hear things in the other room, from the street, even on my end, I invite you to include that as part of your listening meditation. And if we do have reactions of anger or annoyance during a sound bath to these alternate sounds that find their way into the session, that can also be something to explore for us. Great. I think that's all I want to say. If you have any questions about anything that I just mentioned, please feel free to write in the WhatsApp group, the WhatsApp community group that I'll link here, or you can comment on the video and let me know. And then, as always, I'll say this at the end, is that this is a fine-tuning instrument as far as recording these different sounds. So any feedback that you have about how you received the sound on your end, on your particular device, please let me know so I can continue to increase the quality of what you all experience. Great. We'll move into a brief meditation now, so you're welcome to go ahead and lie down and get comfy and put on your socks and cover yourself with a blanket. Otherwise, you can join me in a seated meditation. So gathering all of the things that you need. And you can bring your hands onto the knees, and then you can leave them open or in any mudra that you'd like. Mudra is a word for a hand position or a hand seal. I might offer Gyan Mudra, which is bringing the thumb and the pointer finger together, allowing the middle ring and pinky finger to splay out. And you can either bring that mudra, it's like an OK sign, onto your knees, facing up or facing down. Gyan Mudra is wisdom mudra. So it's a mudra you often see of the sages or the yogis, the gurus are always at some point or another in this position. If you're ready, you can close down the eyes. Otherwise, you can pick a point on the floor in front of you and kind of let your gaze soften. So keeping the eyes open if that's what you prefer, but just allowing the gaze to kind of drone out what's around you. And we'll just begin to do a very gentle body scan with the breath, inhaling deeply through the nose. And exhaling through the mouth, sigh it out. Just taking a moment to get out any movement or fidgets that you have, maybe rolling the neck, rolling the shoulders back if you're seated. If you're laying down, you can kind of wiggle back and forth, adjusting the glute muscles, letting the feet splay out. And take another deep breath, inhale. And exhale. And bringing your attention now to the top of the head. To your crown. And letting your awareness drip down to the face as you relax the forehead, the jaw, the tongue away from the upper palate. Moving down from the ears to your shoulders as you inhale. And exhale, allow the shoulders to drop down the back as you move your concentration now to the heart space. Feel your heart beating, your lungs pulsing like a pulsar star, expanding, contraction. Moving your awareness now to the belly, relaxing the belly. Relax the belly. And let the breath just get even longer, even deeper, even fuller. Expanding out 360 degrees with every breath. Awareness now down to the hips. So much tension held in the hips, just let it go, feel heavy. Down to the thighs, the knees, the lower legs. Feel your whole leg. And then finally bringing your attention down to your feet, to each individual toe and the pad of the foot. Allow yourself to surrender to the faculty of listening. Both to the external sounds of the bowls, but now to your own mind. Notice the quality and the speed of your thoughts. Be very honest with yourself. if you're seated, if you can, keep your eyes closed and gently move your way down to the floor. Finding a position of complete surrender, heart open to the sky, to the ceiling. And meet this present moment, meet this sound with sweetness, with curiosity. And allow the sound to foster a sense of luminosity. That shimmering quality of your true self, your higher consciousness, however you want to think about it. That inner part of you that has known who you really are all along. And let yourself go away for a little while. Take a deep breath. Open the mouth, release the jaw, and sigh out and exhale. Take a moment to deepen your breath. And once more, study the rhythm, the quality, the content of your thoughts. You can begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes when you're ready. Maybe pointing and flexing the feet, circling the wrists. You might like, behind closed eyes, to move the eyes back and forth, noting any colors, any shapes, any galaxies behind your closed lids. On your next inhale, you can stretch the arms overhead if you have the space, elongating the spine from the tips of the fingers all the way down to the toes. And bring the knees into the chest, perhaps rocking gently on the lower spine. And then just take any movements or stretches that you need, or stillness. Maybe moving through fetal position. And just take your time, and in the next 30 seconds or so, we'll meet in a seated meditation posture to close the session. Once you're seated, you can either bring the hands into Gyan Mudra on the knees, or perhaps you might like to bring one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. Keeping the eyes closed. Deepening the breath, gently tucking the chin, retracting the jaw ever so slightly. And just a small bow, acknowledgement to that inner luminous self. The light within you and the observer, the awareness within you that's known who you are the whole time, your whole life. Taking a deep breath into the nose, holding the breath at the top, and exhaling out. Thank you so much for joining this very first online gathering in a long time anyways. I hope that you feel a little bit more rested, a little bit more at peace, maybe a little more familiar with your mind if it's been a while since you've taken some time to sit in silence, which I know is very hard to do in this modern day world. I would love to hear from you of how this sound bath felt for you, how you received the sound on your device, anything that came up, anything that you'd like to speak more about. And you will be hearing from me shortly about next month's theme, what we'll be diving into. Today was kind of a scope of a lot of different things going back and forth that I'm passionate about and hopefully resonate with you. And I wish you a beautiful rest of your day or evening, and I look forward to seeing you inside this space soon.